I do like Christmas. I like Christmas carols. Now, there's a lot of Christmas music that's just fun. Grandma got ran over by a reindeer and such. But I like the Christmas carols. They're so full of the biblical text and theology. I like the art that has been created around it, be it paintings, sculptures, videos. I just love Christmas. Emmanuel, God with us. But some 700 years before what you just viewed in that video took place, 701 BC, yet once again, Israel was besieged by an enemy. This time it was Assyria under the leadership of a king by the name of Sennacherib. And God sent his servant, the prophet Micah, words which were read for us a little earlier. But I want to read for you yet once again, and then I want to walk through them with you. But as for you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, too little to be among the clans of Judah, from you one will go forth for me to be ruler in Israel. His goings forth are from long ago, from the days of eternity. Therefore he will give them up until the time when she who is in labor has borne a child. Then the remainder of his brethren will return to the sons of Israel. And he will arise and shepherd his flock in the strength of the Lord, in the majesty of the name of the Lord his God. And they will remain, because at that time he will be great to the ends of the earth. This one will be our peace. 701 BC, in a time of violence and war and desperation, these words were spoken. Words that moved people from a present defeat to the Messiah's triumph. Centuries later, Luke would record the words of the angelic praise on the night of Jesus' birth. Words that we have sung. Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace among men with whom he is pleased. Glory to God. Peace on earth. Peace. The Hebrew word, which I'm sure you have heard, is shalom. It doesn't simply mean the absence of hostilities. It doesn't mean calm. Shalom means that condition of life when everything is as it should be. When everything is as God created it to be. That is peace. Micah's words, and this one, this ruler that is to come, this child that is to be born, this one will be our peace. We could sure use some peace in our world, couldn't we? We could use some peace in our lives. In Micah's day, there was no peace. It was a time of war, violence, destruction, and death. It's interesting to me. I don't know if you followed along. Sometimes it's hard for me to remember what I preached last week, let alone, 3 weeks ago. Fortunately, I have my notes all written down in my sermon book. We began this Advent season 150 years prior to Micah's words, when a different army was besieging Jerusalem, the army of Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians. And we read of hope. Hope in the midst of war. The second Sunday of Advent is love, the great God of love. And even as I read at the communion in a moment, these words of Frederick Buechner that Calvary, Golgotha, the crucifixion, it's about the great love of God for His creation, for you and for me. The third week of Advent is joy. Are we excited? Are we happy? Are our spirits lifted? And our children told us the story, and sometimes there's nothing much more joyous than children. Sometimes they're a little troublesome, but hey, we were when we were children too, weren't we? And the fourth week of Advent is peace. Hear Micah's words. Hear the angel's proclamation. Peace on earth. Is that a pipe dream or a reality? Is it fanciful superstition and fiction, or is it fact? Hopefully you know that it is truth, the truth of God. I want to look at just a few things here in this text from Micah chapter 5, which we've read already. First of all, he mentions a place. He says, "But as for you, Bethlehem Ephrathah." Bethlehem, the name of the town, like Creve Coeur, Marquette Heights. Ephrathah, a Hebrew word that means fruitful. Interesting. Bethlehem, the fruitful town, the fruitful community. For what comes out of there but this one who is the creator of life, the sustainer of life, the very essence of life, the Word who becomes flesh, Emmanuel, God with us. Bethlehem, just a little place. Creve Coeur would have made it look like a podunk town. And we don't have a whole lot of people here. It's just a little bitty place. A couple of kings came from there, though, if you know your Old Testament history. One of them was David. King David, who reigned over Israel in what could probably be considered their golden years, the best of times for them. And the promise of God made to David that upon the throne one of your descendants will sit forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, which is that second king, Jesus by name, born in Bethlehem, whose birth we celebrate today and especially tomorrow, Christmas time, the birth of the one that is for all mankind. Place of King Jesus' birth. But God continues to speak through Micah, and he says, "From you one will go forth for me to be ruler in Israel." This one goes forth for me, goes forth for God. God's design, God's purpose, God reaching to us, not us simply trying to advance ourselves. Divine intervention, not mankind's strength and muster. One will go forth for me, the one that I have chosen, the one that I have appointed, the one that I have anointed. And he will be the ruler in Israel. And not just a spot of land on the eastern shores of the Mediterranean, but God's people, be they ethnically Jewish or Gentile. Those who are God's through faith in Jesus. He is their ruler. He is their king. Or as we sing, and as was read from the Isaiah text, he is the Prince of what? He's the Prince of Peace. The Prince of Peace. Micah goes on and says that his goings forth are from long ago, from the days of eternity. He is the one that John speaks of in the first chapter of his gospel when he says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God." And down a few verses says, "And the Word became flesh and dwelt for a while among us, and we have seen His glory, the glory of the only begotten Son of God, full of grace and truth." This is the eternal one. Not just another king in the long line of human kings. Not just another political hopeful. Don't you just love the seasons of politics? debates and commercials and mudslinging and editorials, and everybody has an opinion. I don't. But we always seem to hope that the next one will get it right. And the next one will get it right. The next one will get it right. Not just another in the long line of human answers, but the one who goes forth for me. The one who is from eternity. The Word who becomes flesh. Emmanuel, His name, which means God with us. God with us. And in the context of Micah's prophecy, He'll give them up until the time. There is this period of defeat and destruction and devastation. Israel is conquered by the Babylonians, and the Babylonians are conquered by the Greeks, and the Greeks are conquered by the Romans. And Israel was just handed off to the next conquering power of the era. And He says He'll let them suffer under this burden, this slavery, until the time comes when she who is in labor has borne a child. And then He'll remember His brethren. Or not remember, then the remainder of His brethren will return. You might remember when Jesus speaks of being a shepherd, He says, I have sheep who are not of this flock, and I must gather them as well. He's talking beyond the boundaries of ethnicity. He's saying that the gospel is not just for the physical descendants of Abraham, but for the faith descendants of Abraham, which extends to you and me. As the Apostle Paul said, those of us who are Abraham's descendants, Abraham's seed by faith. That includes me. And my ethnicity is spread all over the place. My grandmother said, you're just a Heinz 57. In nicer words, she said, you're a mutt. You got a little bit of Scottish and a little bit of German, a little bit of that, and a little bit of this. She goes, I don't know who you are. I said, okay. But the gospel's for me. And the gospel's for you. Because He brings all His sheep together. From that flock which was Israel to that flock which is the church. Even says in verse 4, He'll arise and shepherd His flock. Why is it that we have relegated one of the most beautiful psalms to the sad days of a person's funeral? The 23rd Psalm? It is comforting in those moments, isn't it? But do you realize that it's more than a funeral psalm? It's a life psalm. The Lord is my shepherd. Today, now, not just then. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for You are with me. Your rod and Your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and loving kindness will follow me all the days of my life. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Let those words be words for today, not just the day of your funeral. For the Lord is our shepherd. Matter of fact, in John chapter 10, we hear Jesus say what? I am the good shepherd. I am the good shepherd. That's what Micah says. He'll arise and shepherd His flock. And He does so in the strength of the Lord. In the majesty of the name of the Lord is God. And they will remain. They will abide in Him. They will find safety in Him. Because at that time, when He has come, He will be great to the ends of the earth. In the gospel of Jesus Christ, wraps around the world. We sit here and we worship this morning in central Illinois. My wife, who's from Buffalo, New York, wishing it would snow. Me, not liking snow, so glad that it's warm. Tension in our home. But even as you and I sit here and worship in this hour, given time differences, we have brothers and sisters who are gathered to celebrate Christmas and the birth of the Christ child in Africa, in Europe, the Asian nations, the Pacific Islands, all around this world. For He will be great to the ends of the earth. Isn't it amazing? And we continue to share that message of who He is to the very ends of the earth, to the reaches of the church. And this one will be our peace. And it is hard sometimes when you hear the news and wars are raging. It's hard sometimes when you hear violence, injustice, hatred. Where is peace? Referring yet once again to Frederick Buechner. If you're not familiar with him, his writings will kind of stretch your mind. He was a Presbyterian minister and a prolific author back in the 1950s and 60s. He said that his belief is that the peace that Christ brought is a peace that is available to every human heart and soul. In other words, today, when our world may know turmoil, you and I, if we will follow Jesus, may know peace. The peace that passes understanding. A peace in the midst of the storm, as sometimes it's said as a cliche. And yet a day will come when a trumpet shall sound, the sky shall be rent, and Christ returns in glory, and we inhabit a new heaven and a new earth. And there will be peace forevermore. A present peace and a coming peace. A now and not yet peace. And so do not be discouraged. Do not give up the hope that we talked about from Jeremiah 3 weeks ago. Don't fail to love, as we spoke 2 weeks ago. Don't miss out on the joy which we should experience today and tomorrow and every day. And don't lose sight of the peace that He offers. Are you at peace? I think it's a fair question. Sometimes my heart is heavy, sometimes my mind is troubled, sometimes my soul is burdened. A lot of times my attitude stinks, just ask my wife. Sometimes I don't get along with people who are around me, even the people that are closest to me and that I love. How about you? Are you at peace? Are you at peace? I would invite you today into the peace that Micah foretold, that the angels announced, and that is available in Jesus. Glory to God in the highest, peace on earth, goodwill toward men. And if you're not at peace, He says, come to me, all who are burdened, all who are heavy laden. All those of you who are tired and don't have peace, come to me. I will give you rest. Would you stand as we sing?
Can
so glad that you're with us today. As my wife mentioned earlier, we do have a 6 o'clock Christmas Eve service. Everyone's invited. Hope that some of you, all of you, will join us. I look around and I see that many of you are enjoying the presence of family. What a blessing. May your holiday celebration, your Christmas celebration, revolve around Christ, but fill you with the joy of family and loved ones and friends. May the memories be sweet. And may God bless you, and may you go in the peace of God.
I'm just going to give a few additional reminders. If you are a visitor, to go to the Welcome Center. If you're a regular attender, check out if you usually get offering envelopes or Christmas cards. Look over there. Even if you already picked them up, I saw people with them today, so you might have additional ones. Did you have something, Bill? Not you, Bill. That Bill.
They have some bread still sitting over there on the table with people that can take some bread home.
Okay, so yes, there was bread left over. If you remember from Nick, he had that blessing of the order of bread, and there was some extra left over from the food basket giveaway. So if you are in need of bread or know someone who is, be sure to pick some up and take it home because it needs to be used. All right. With that being said, I hope you have a great Christmas with your family, and let's sing. Enjoy the rest of your day.